What's up, gang? Andrew Cooper here. Fantasy Alarm in the house. We're on BSN, sponsored by FFPC, and this is Coop's Fantasy Football Fiasco. You can find me on Twitter at Coop A Fiasco. This show, the Monday show, most important one of the week, sets the whole tone for everything we do this week. And what we do, we go through, break down the important usage for every single player, right? Every fantasy relevant player, even the guys that aren't relevant, we tell you who's playing fullback and why it makes guys not relevant. We're going to give you every single thing here. That's what we're doing. Then tomorrow, Howard Bender and I on the Alarm Fantasy Football Show, we're going to hit all your waiver questions. Wednesday, trades. Thursday, lineups. Friday, we break down the matchups with a guest, and then we do an FFPC lineup. Make sure you're set up at FFPC, myffpc.com. Use promo code COOP. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more. Don't got time to waste today because there's only 2 teams on bye. There's basically a full slate of games. Only one game we were missing this week. No Steelers, no Packers. So we got to get right into it. The way we do it, go alphabetically by city. So start with the Arizona Cardinals. The timestamps will be in there when the show's done if you want to pull up whatever player you're looking for, whatever team you're looking for, and get the info you need. So here we go. Arizona Cardinals. What's up, everybody in the chat? Thanks for popping in. Hal, we see you, baby. Air Jordan, what's going on, man? The Twitch Kang's in the house. So let's go. Arizona Cardinals this week. A guy we've been watching is Michael Wilson. And even though the last 2 weeks his targets haven't been great, his usage has gotten better. And to me personally, I'd rather see a guy go out and play the whole game and get a big snap share and not get a ton of targets than play like half the snaps and get a bunch of targets, because that's not repeatable, right? So Michael Wilson came out, he ran 67 snaps, 41 routes. The guy that everyone banks on, Marquise Brown, he played 68 snaps, ran 41 routes. He ran the same number of routes as the big dog. Rondale Moore kind of backed off a little bit. He was the third guy. He only played 50 snaps, only ran 32 routes. So Michael Wilson ran 9 more snaps than Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore got a couple carries, but he's more of a gadget player. So Michael Wilson, definitely a guy I'm still stashing. And yes, Chris, UFC, I see you in the chat. We're going to talk about Logan Thomas. Here's the thing. Washington, we go alphabetical order. Washington's going to be dead last. But we're going to get to that. Absolutely. We have to talk about Logan Thomas because he kind of rug pulled everybody here. But, real quick on this team, what we saw from the tight ends was not good. Trey McBride played more snaps than Zach Ertz. And some people might say, oh, nice. That means it's wheels up for Trey McBride. But he was used in kind of a blocking capacity and actually ran fewer routes than Zach Ertz. He ran 21 routes. Ertz ran 24. They got 5 targets and 4 targets. As we've seen with the Falcons, it's a nightmare if it's split. What we need for fantasy is for one of them to go away. So before we were kind of banking on Ertz. Now kind of neither of them we can trust, right? They're both kind of stashes to see if one of them gets hurt or goes away. So kind of rough. And then the other question that a lot of people had, what happened with the running backs here? James Conner's out. So we're all searching for, is it going to be Amadi DiMercato? Is it going to be Keontae Ingram? Damian Williams signed off the street. Well, what they ended up doing was Amari DiMercato was the de facto pass down back. So Keontae Ingram is kind of the backup for James Conner. He got the early work. He got the most carries. Obviously, he got 10. And then Amari DiMercato came in and played the pass work. He ran 27 routes, only 11 for Keontae Ingram, only 3 for Damian Williams. So unfortunately for fantasy football, they're not just going to make one person James Conner. Only James Conner's James Conner. They're going to replace him with 3 guys. That's going to make it tough, man. In good game scripts, Keontae Ingram could be a guy, because he's getting the rundown work. But here's the problem. All 3 of the teams they play the next couple of weeks are good teams, winning records, right? So Amari DiMercato maybe in PPR is an option, but again, he only got 1 target. Just not what we want to see for fantasy football. Not what we want to see. Anyway, Atlanta Falcons, 83 snaps this week. We always have to keep in mind, I talk about it all the time, the average for the NFL kind of fluctuates, but the rule of thumb is like 65. 65 snaps is like an average game. Anywhere from 60 to 70, that's average. If a team plays 83 snaps like this, that's well above average. It's not really repeatable or sustainable. So when you look at what Drake London did, you look at all the targets to the tight ends, they just a lot more plays than this team usually runs. I mean, 52 routes run. They had 52 dropbacks. They're not going to do that every week. Never do. So that's the way it goes, man. Shout out to South Sco. Shout out Howard Bender. Thanks for joining in the chat. What's up, gang? We're going through the data, man. We're getting ready for this week. That's what's up. So you look at the wide receivers. This one right now is easy. Drake London ran 43 routes, No one else ran more than 19. No one else ran more than 19. None of the wide receivers. Matt Collins, Kadero Hodges, Scotty Miller, Van Jefferson, they all split. The only one that's interesting to even stash is Van Jefferson with the hopes he gets ramped up. If a guy, Matt Collins, goes out and he's been on the team all year and he plays 29 of 83 snaps, never going to be trusted. He just cannot be trusted, neither with Hodge or any of those guys. So it's Drake London and probably no one else, but Van Jefferson, if you really feel like it. With the tight ends, same as we've seen. They're not only splitting the snaps, but they're playing kind of the same role. People think Johnny's like an inline tight end. Not the case. Michael Pruitt with 31 snaps is the inline tight end. Kyle Pitts and Jonnu both line up at wide receiver, both run all over the place. I mean, that's the way it's going to be. It's going to be split between those guys. 6 targets for Pitts, 5 for Jonnu. I'm always going to rank Pitts ahead of Jonnu because he has higher upside, but they're both kind of viable, kind of not. They're basically high-end tight end 2s at best. So sucks, man. We want more viable tight ends. I'm hoping that Kyle Pitts, as he gets away from the MCL injury, plays more. He becomes kind of the wide receiver 2 behind Drake London, but hey, it's going to be tough, man. Shout out Daniel Kavanaugh. Shout out everybody in the chat. What's happening? Yeah, we got Britt, Howard Bender in the house. We got the whole gang, baby. Got the whole gang getting ready for this week. And the running backs to wrap it up with Atlanta, Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. This split, if you want to equate it to something, is kind of like what we see with the Green Bay Packers, where they split some of the run work evenly, but Aaron Jones gets all the important pass work. And that's what you see here. 13 carries for each Bijan and Tyler Algier, but 45 routes for Bijan, only 8 for Algier. So Bijan basically has 75% of the job. Robinson has half of the job, just so happens to be half of the job where he vultures touchdowns, which is really annoying. But 8 targets for Bijan, let's go. Bijan, he was already locked in your lineups, and you already knew that you only were using Tyler Algier where you had to. So that's the situation there. Next team, Baltimore Ravens. Zay Flowers once again led this team. He's probably always going to lead it. And unfortunately, right now, there's a 3-way split between the next wide receivers. And because of that, you don't have anybody that's playing even close to what Flowers is. To put in perspective, Flowers played 63 of 71 snaps. Next highest guy was Aguilar at 37, almost half what Flowers is playing. And Bateman and Odell were also behind that. So until someone gets hurt, if somebody gets hurt, now you got probably 3 guys playing all the snaps. Right now, you have 1 guy playing all the snaps and 3 guys rotating. That sucks for fantasy football, truly and honestly. So the reality is Zay Flowers is the number 1 guy. He ran 33 routes. Mark Andrews is the number 2 guy. He ran 33 routes. And the rest of the guys, spot starts at best, right? Gus Edwards, Gus Bus, he actually got decent workload this week. We knew he was going to get the most carries because that's his job. Justice Hill's been playing some pass downs, but Gus ran more routes than Justice Hill, 19 to 11. Even if Justice Hill got 3 targets, he only got 1. You know the deal here, kind of, though. We want to play it straight up where if it's a game the Ravens are expected to win, that could be a good game for Gus. If they're playing from behind, don't be shocked if you see Justice Hill out there. So Gus Edwards, you really only want to lean into him in situations where this team is going to be up big, and you can't really start this guy in DFS or any of platforms like that. So what are you going to do, man? Patrick Ricard played 23 snaps, but he's kind of like an inline tight end now than as compared to before where he was more of a fullback. It's a new offense, so they changed it up. That's the way it goes. So next team here, Buffalo Bills. Diggs and Gabe Davis, and then nobody else. Khalil Shakir had the weirdest usage, kind of like Juju Smith-Schuster, where very odd. He came out and he played 24 snaps, but only 5 routes. He was basically in there for pass plays. And then Trent Sherfield played 22 snaps and ran 15 routes. So they're rotating these guys. They like Shakir as a blocker, I guess. Just very, very odd. And you can't really trust any of them anyway. It's Diggs, it's Gabe Davis. And then we're looking at hopefully a tight end separating themselves. Here's the thing. People were asking me, with Dalton Kincaid out, do we start Dawson Knox? And I was like, we saw Dawson Knox without Dalton Kincaid for 4 years. For 4 years, and it was not useful for fantasy football. I'm not sure why all of a sudden now that would change. We want to see what Dalton Kincaid looks like without Dawson Knox, not the other way around. So I'm not really I'm moving Dawson Knox up a little bit, but where do you move him? You're not going to move him up to tight end 1 territory just because a guy's out and we're back to the offense that we saw for 4 years. So not really interested in Dawson Knox under any circumstances. Running backs, this is what scares us a little bit, is that we talked about this the last 3 episodes. I've been warning people that James Cook has been giving up work to Latavius Murray in high leverage situations. So what you see is you see goal line going to Latavius Murray or Damian Harris. Damian Harris got hurt this week. I hope he's okay. He gave us a thumbs up, so I think he's going to be all right. They say he's got feeling in his arms and legs, so I think he's going to be good, but we'll have to see on that. But what it looks like, it kind of reminds me of Melvin Gordon's rookie year. For those that remember, Melvin Gordon in his rookie year, he was kind of like the starting quote unquote back, but when they get to the goal line, they'd put in Danny Woodhead. Or when they would get to pass downs, they'd put in Danny Woodhead. So Woodhead was playing fewer snaps, but he's getting all the high leverage snaps. That's kind of what they're doing with Latavius Murray right now, where he's playing pass downs, he's playing in crunch time during the end of the games, he's playing in goal line situations. And I'm with you, Daniel Kavanaugh, in the chat, man. He says, I'm targeting Murray on waivers this week. Not crazy, man. Not crazy, because if they're going to use him like that, and he gets all the high leverage work, James Cook just gets kind of the empty, high efficiency work where, he'll be good in space. It could look like J.K. Dobbins even, but without the touchdowns, without the targets, I don't know what we do. And James Cook had 0 targets this week. So kind of a rough situation there. We could keep an eye on Dalton Kincaid to see where he's at, but tough to start either of those tight ends right now. Carolina Panthers, 68 snaps this week, about average. Next week, they'll be on bye. We thought Terrace Marshall had gone away and we were safe from him, but after not playing at all last week, he came back in. And those snaps came at the expense of DJ Chark, which to me this week kind of signifies where we're at. Adam Thielen, we already knew he was a top dog. Jonathan Mingo, it seems, when everyone's healthy, he's going to be the other guy playing a full snap share. He actually played more snaps than Thielen. Thielen played 55. Mingo played 63. They ran 38 routes for Thielen, 40 for Mingo. Chark was next highest at 27. That takes Chark, even though he got more targets than Mingo, that makes Chark pretty unpredictable. The fact that he played that fewer snaps than everybody else. And obviously, Terrace Marshall played some. Laviska Shenault left the game with an injury, but he's been doing his like gadgety thing where he goes out, gets a couple carries, does a bunch of weird stuff. The tight ends here, this is a team that has no fantasy relevant tight end. That's it, man. No fantasy relevant tight end that we're trusting. Hayden Hurst only ran 19 routes. Tommy Tremble ran 16 routes. Yes, he had an awesome hurdle. That was sick, right? Love hurdles. Hurdles, spin moves. You should get points for that in fantasy football. You should get points for even trying to hurdle a guy in fantasy football. But 16 of 42 routes for Tommy Tremble, 19 of 42 for Hayden Hurst. If you could combine them into one player, then maybe you would have a fantasy relevant player. Otherwise, not interested. And Britt Flynn in the chat saying, news just broke that Damian Harris only has a neck sprain. That is great news, because that was scary, man. Those are scary hits. So that's awesome news, man. And yeah, I'm with you, Daniel. More of a dynasty guy for Mingo. And yeah, you can't really start any of those guys outside of Thielen, honestly. I'm just giving you the information, the behind the scenes stuff that leads to production at some point, right? Like, it's one thing to not get the targets, but if you're not even on the field, then you're not getting the ball. Like, at the end of the day, right? That's why we avoid tight ends that pass block on pass plays as well, because if you're not running routes, you're not getting the ball. So what are you going to do there? But no, I agree. You can't start Mingo. He's just the only other guy of that team that I would hold right now in redraft after Thielen. And running backs, Chuba Hubbard got all the work, man. Shout out Linda. I know she's a big Oklahoma State fan. 53 snaps for Chuba, only 11 for Raheem Blackshear. But they're going to go on bye this week. Hopefully Miles Sanders will get healthy and we'll see a healthy version of Miles Sanders. But until then, it is what it is, right? Until then, it's Chuba Hubbard. So if Miles Sanders isn't good to go when he gets back, then Chuba, he's got to go in lineups, right? Chicago Bears, 66 snaps this week. We lost Justin Fields. Tyson Bagent, I've been seeing, I subscribe to every single subreddit for all the fantasy football team, all the NFL teams, except for the Buccaneers, where I'm banned from that subreddit. But that's another story. And I'm banned from posting fantasy football articles. But anyway, so I'm banned from that subreddit. So I subscribe to 31 subreddits, and I always check out and see what those guys are talking about. And they've liked this guy, Tyson Bagent, kind of behind the scenes. Anytime Fields is a bad game, they're like, oh, Tyson Bagent, blah, blah, blah. He comes out first play, fumbles it. It's returned for a touchdown. So, oops. I don't know, man. And Tyson Bagent, he doesn't run. Like, if you look at his college stats, less than a yard a carry, I think it is, for when he was in college. So I don't know what you do with that, man. Like, Tyson Bagent maybe in Superflex, but I'm not. I lost Anthony Richardson, and I don't have answers. I don't think Tyson Badger is going to be the answer there. Darnell Mooney and DJ Moore played their full snap shares. Moondog, I don't know if it's the ankle still or what, but he is just not a factor, man. Tyler Scott was the wide receiver 3, but only ran 20 of 32 routes. So DJ Moore runs 32 of 32. Tyler Scott running 20 of 32. Maybe DFS start. That's it. Didn't play enough. Cole Kmet continues to be the king of not quite. 24 of 32 routes, right? So he usually gets very catchable targets. Last week he caught all 5 of 5, but he's just not. I can't move him up. You look at the standings where it says, oh, yeah, he was tight end 4. That's mostly based on touchdowns. We can't move those guys up unless they play more, and this is what you get in these weeks. If he's going to run 24 of 32 routes and only get 3 targets, and then what are you going to do, man? So we'll have to see who Tyson Badgett likes. Hopefully it's Cole Kmet, but I just want to see Kmet play more. RBs, this was an uncertain situation coming in, so this information is important, and Donta Foreman dominated. 40 snaps to 24 for Darrington Evans, but Darrington Evans was used in some pass situations, which with Roschon Johnson coming back creates kind of a weird situation here, because you're going to get Roschon probably going to start. Roschon's the most interesting. The question is how they use the next guy, because you're not just going to use one guy every play. Donta Foreman will probably be the rundown backup, right? But Darrington Evans could be the pass down guy. So it could be Roschon with Evans on pass downs. It's yet to be seen, man. All I know is that I personally probably at this point am going to rank them Roschon 1 and then Evans 2 and Foreman 3. Just because Foreman just does not catch passes. He had almost 1,000 yards rushing last year, had like 7 targets or whatever. That's not part of his game. He's Jordan Howard. That's what he is. So that's how it broke down. Cincinnati Bengals, only 54 snaps again this week. This offense is just not quite right? We know that T. Higgins is hurt. Trenton Irwin supplemented Higgins, right? So you had Higgins 29 snaps, Irwin 24. So Higgins is not healthy. And until he is, he's playing with broken ribs, can't really trust him. Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd played the whole game. So those guys right now, Chase is always in your lineup every single week, but Boyd kind of on the menu right now. Scored the touchdown, got 7 targets. I mean, until Higgins is good to go, you can throw him out there. Irv Smith, we're not doing anything with him. Only 25 of 39 routes, only 2 targets. He's a cheaper version of Hayden Hurst. And Hayden Hurst was behind Joe Mixon and all the wide receivers and targets per game last year. So why do we want discount Hayden Hurst? I've never had any interest in that. And I warned people that he was multiple injuries away. Gerald Everett, multiple injuries away. And now we're seeing it. Even with an injury, still not the guy. So he still needs maybe one more injury, and now we start talking about Irv Smith as somebody, but probably not. Joe Mixon, start him every week. He's the lead running back in all phases for the Cincinnati Bengals. Simple as that. You have to find a way to get him in your lineup, no matter what. Cleveland Browns, 76 snaps for this team. Definitely above average. Not like crazy. It's not like 100. We've seen teams play 100 snaps in some of these overtime games, and then we look at the stats. We're like, oh, yeah, these guys are studs. It was happening with the Jets early last year, and we don't, we have to adjust for that. So this game, you can, pretty typical game, and they pulled it out. Crazy. Brock Purdy got his first loss. It was really windy, and they missed a field goal that would have won the game, but still counts, right? Got to do more to win the game. End of story. Mark Cooper, DPJ, Elijah Moore. This team is very easy for us. It's like the Bengals when everyone's healthy. They just use the 3 wide receivers on the vast majority of snaps. 64 for Amari, 61 for DPJ, 61 for Elijah Moore. Marquise Goodwin was the next highest with 15. David Bell had 10. Guys hardly play. Don't even have to think about them. It's the other guys that we worry about. And luckily for us, DPJ is just kind of out there run blocking and doing whatever it is he does. He only had 1 target. So Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper. Good news. David Njoku, interesting cat, this guy. I pointed out, this is how crazy fantasy football is sometimes. David Njoku last week with the burns on his hands and face came out, and they decided not to have him pass block at all, probably because he was all burned, right? So it's very physical. You don't want him in there getting beat up by defensive ends and stuff. So that was the first game all year. He didn't pass block 1 time, and he had his best game for fantasy. So, if you put 2 and 2 together, it kind of, the fact that he was kind of hurt, but good enough to play was good for him for fantasy football. The burns to his hand and face might have actually been good for him for fantasy football. This week he came out and he only blocked on 3 pass plays. So still, once again, they used him primarily as a receiver. He ran 33 routes, which was the same as Elijah Moore. And Amari Cooper ran 35. So David Njoku right now, he's out there running around, man. It's just that he's not a top 2 target technically, but you could do worse. You could do worse than him. People were talking about this one, the running backs here, man. Jerome Ford, 38 snaps, Kareem Hunt, 28, but it didn't really feel like that the way that Kareem Hunt was mixing in, right? They both got a ton of carries. They split the pass work down the middle. In fact, Kareem Hunt played 16 they both ran 13 routes, right? Kareem Hunt got 3 targets, Jerome Ford got 2. Kareem Hunt's involved. He's involved. We were worried this might happen, so you just got to be careful. And again, this is a tough matchup against the 49ers. So, Kareem Hunt might be on the radar. If they're going to split it evenly on a team like the Browns, I mean, he got 12 carries. So, something to think about. He's probably shouldn't be ranked too far off from somebody like Tyler Algier, Alphabetical order, next team, Dallas Cowboys. They play tonight, and then they're on the bye week after this. So, we'll see them tonight. Denver Broncos played on Thursday. Sutton and Judy led the team. Marvin Mims, wide receiver 5 in snaps. Let the man live. Let this man play. Come on now. Come on. He didn't get a single target, dude. What are we doing with Brandon Johnson and little Jordan Humphrey? Just let him play. Hopefully they trade Sutton or Judy at the deadline here, like the rumors say, and he can play. But I mean, the guy's explosive. It can't get any worse, right? So might as well give him a shot. If you let him play a full game and you lose, guess what? I mean, you're losing all these games anyway. So just give him a try. Give him a chance. He's running back kicks. He's scoring big touchdowns. Like, just get him out there. Come on. Enough of that, though. Greg Dulcich, only 11 snaps. Trotman played 36. Chris Manhertz played 24. The only one that's worth rostering is Greg Dulcich. And he will get ramped up eventually, and he will be the top dog. And Brent, yes, mad at him for muffed punts, kickoffs. Yeah, I get it. Take him off kickoffs. And if he's muffing punts and kickoffs, take him off kickoffs, right? Like, get him out there where he's scoring touchdowns. Like, put him out there. Crazy, man. But until then, we're just going to see Brandon Johnson, who the vast majority of his stats came on a tip drill Hail Mary, right? Like, enough with the Brandon Johnson. So, yeah. Stash Greg Dulcich. We cannot start him until we see what he looks like when he's ramped up. But in this atmosphere, in this environment, there comes a certain point where just unknown upside is better than known blah, right? Like, sitting here hoping that some of these guys would just all of a sudden play more snaps when they haven't done it all year. It rarely happens. Whereas Dulcich, we know that he was the starter before he got hurt. So that's why you got to stash those guys. Just go for the unknown upside. Jaleel McLaughlin led with 21 snaps. Javonte played 18. Pirine played 9. I mean, I don't know. The thing is, Jaleel ran the most routes. He ran 11 routes to 5 for Javonte to 5 for Pirine. So with Javonte back, unexpectedly, maybe Samaje Pirine's going to be the guy that loses out the playing time. We'll have to see. I'm not I don't know. I expected Jaleel McLaughlin to go back to the bench, but he did not. So, hey, you know what? They're willing to let Jaleel play, but they can't let Marvin Mims play. Unbelievable. Crazy. Holding back talent to tank, Hal? I don't know. Maybe. It's time to do some trades. I think they should, if they're trying to lose, trade Sutton or Judy. Might as well, right? Detroit Lions, 70 snaps this week. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a megastar. I thought his trajectory is going to be going the Tyler Boyd route, but you know what? This guy is the best 4th-round wide receiver there's ever been. Which the best one before him was Jamison Crowder, or I guess Brandon Marshall was a 4th-round pick, but that was like 20 years ago. So yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. There you go, dude. He defying the odds as a day 3 pick. Just great player, man. Great player. Josh Reynolds still ran 41 routes, but Jameson Williams made the big play. Right? The more he does that, the more playing time he can get. He might just end up being a field stretcher, but he only played 16 snaps out of a possible 70. But he made a big play. He got 3 targets. We want to see more of him. No more Marvin Jones, no more Khalif Raymond. At the end of the day, I would love for it to be Josh Reynolds on the outside on one side, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot, and then when they go to 3 wide receivers, Jameson Williams comes in. And when they go to 2 wide receivers, JMO maybe comes out and Amon-Ra St. Brown stays out there, but that's probably the way it's going to be. But definitely got to stash JMO, man. Definitely got to stash him. And shout out Craig in the chat. What's up, my dude? Thanks for popping in. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, JMO, you want to get him on some rosters just because of how explosive he is, man. Got to do it. Sam Laporta, calf looked just fine to me, huh? 58 snaps, 39 routes run, which was right there with Amon-Ra and Josh Reynolds. 10 targets. Like, Sam Laporta's a man. He's the king. We love him. He's my best friend. Sam Laporta. Yeah, boy. Dave Montgomery got hurt, which Jahmyr Gibbs, good news for him. But until Gibbs gets healthy, we all saw it. Craig Reynolds, 43 snaps. The next name you need to know is Devine Ozigbo, drafted by the Jaguars, kind of been floating around, went to the Saints for a little bit. Or was he drafted by the Saints? He's been played for both those teams. He's probably, even if something happens to Reynolds, and Reynolds, Monty, and Gibbs are all hurt, he's the name you got to know. Just like Amari DiMercato, he was behind James Conner and he was behind Keontae Ingram when they both got hurt. He had a game. He had a game that mattered. So those are the things that you got to be thinking about, the things you got to be doing. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, we had him in our FFPC lineup this week. Let's take a quick second just to pop over and look at how that lineup did. I drafted it with the legendary Pat Fitzmaurice of Pro Football Focus. He came on Friday. So what we do is Monday, I break down all the usage. Friday, I bring on a guest and we do all the we go through all the matchups. We hit on everything. If you want to play this game with us at MyFFPC, go over to myffpc.com, use promo code Coop, and they'll give you $25 when you deposit 35 or more. Little pro tip, the games are either $35 buy-in or they're $200 buy-in. So if you deposit $45 and get the $25 bonus, that gives you 70, gives you 2 weeks to play, right? You can do 10 team matchups, 30 team matchups, or 100 team matchups. I think 30 is the sweet spot. You give yourself a chance to win. You get yourself up in there. It's pretty good. And the way that this works is just like their famous platform for playoffs. They have a playoff platform where it's super cool. You go in, you make your lineup, and you can only use one player from each team. And that one's crazy strategy because if your team gets eliminated, you lose that guy. So you got to try and map out how the playoffs are going to go. That one's really cool. But the weekly one works the same way. You can start anyone you want, no salary cap, no draft, but only one player from each team. So you don't have to worry about getting obliterated by the guy that stacked up the Dolphins every week because you can only start one Dolphin. We started Raheem Mostert correctly, and he scored 34 points. But here's the thing. You have to get it perfectly right? So the guy in first place has 207 points. He has, but when we're down by 30, but we have two guys left, he has one. Now, here's where Pat and I made a big mistake. It was my fault because I was setting everything. I'm not even going to blame Pat. My fault. We made a rookie mistake, folks. Rookie mistake, and it's all on me because I could have changed it. But if you look at this lineup, we have Keenan Allen and CeeDee Lamb going tonight in wide receiver spots. There are 4 flexes, and we have 3 wide receivers in there. We should have had Cooper Kupp in the wide receiver spot. He went off, 27.8 points. Amon-Ra should have been in a wide receiver spot, 30 points. If we did that, then tonight we could pivot to anyone we wanted. We could start Austin Eckler. We could start Tony Pollard. We could mix and match, which you have to use gamesmanship. We look at this team up top right here. They got 1 flex spot left. I don't know who that is. But if it's the same guy as us, then we're going to have a hard time beating them. So you want to be as flexible as possible. The rookie mistake is on me there, and we're going to move forward. We're going to utilize that. But, I mean, look, our team did great. It just a couple soft spots. Mostert crushed. McCaffrey obviously had a good game before he got hurt. Logan Thomas, complete rug pull. We're going to talk about that when we get to Washington. Kamara did good. Cooper Kupp did good. Amon-Ra, Mike Evans, tough game. And, their kicker did better than ours. It's that close. It's that close, right? Where we're, there's still a chance we win this week, could win the big prize, and we already said that if we do win, we're going to be buying drinks at the expo, not just for us, but for some folks that are hanging out with us. So if you want to get in there, dominate, buy drinks for your friends and family when you win, go to myffpc.com, use promo code Coop, deposit 35 or more. They'll give you 25. And then you can get in there and ball out with us. It's a super fun format, and we're definitely going to take one down this week, maybe even this week. There's a lot of teams that have a couple guys left to go, so it could be tough. But, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. So get in there, check that out, man. It's quickly becoming my favorite format because I'm just tired of going in and, and setting my lineup. And I have a guy I want to play, and I need an extra $100. So now I got to take out a guy that I want to play and put in another guy. And the guy I take out always goes off, and there's no way to, trying to do a puzzle to make it work. No. We like this one where you just load up on studs, best possible matchups, and like let it ride. So check that out. Back to the matchups here. Green Bay Packers on bye this week. So G, next up, H, Houston Texans. 63 snaps this week. And I tweeted it out earlier. I said it 2 weeks ago. I said after these 2 weeks, I'm going to be buying Nico Collins. I have Nico Collins in half my leagues. I'm now attempting to buy him in the other half. Hopefully leagues where people don't listen to the show or any of the shows, because they would have heard me say it a million times that Nico Collins, tough matchups versus AJ Terrell last week and Marshawn Lattimore this week. He still actually did okay versus Lattimore. Lattimore usually gives people a really hard time. He literally fights Mike Evans, fights DK Metcalf on the field. They're multiple times he's annoyed those guys to the point where they're fighting. He's like our generation's Cortland Finnegan, right? So I was like, Nico, 2 bad weeks, I can go out and buy him. So now is the time to buy Nico Collins. He faces Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed at some point, but I mean, for the most part, his schedule is back to what it was like at the beginning when he was just going crazy. So give me Nico Collins. One spot that was disappointing that we had hoped for before the season is John Mechie. This week was kind of the nail in the coffin for Mechie. If you were holding him in redraft anywhere, you don't need to. In Dynasty, you can still hold him, but he had an opportunity with Tank Dell out to play a big snap share, and he actually played behind not only Nico and Robert Woods, but behind Noah Brown. So if you can't beat out Noah Brown for snaps at this junction, then you just can't trust the guy. So Nico played 46 snaps. Robert Woods played 40. Noah Brown played 35. Mechie played 15. Ouch. So for me, and I'm not really super interested in Noah Brown. He does operate out of the slot a decent amount. This should have been Alontae Taylor is one of the worst slot corners in the league. They just played the Saints, and he got 6 targets, but I really don't see any world where I put Noah Brown in a lineup unless it's crazy deep. So as long as Tank Dell's out, you get Noah Brown in there. But Tank Dell he's probably going to clear concussion protocol this week, knock on wood, and then it's Noah Brown back to the bench. So don't worry too much about that. Dalton Schultz, his usage, it's not as bad as Hayden Hurst, but it could be better, man. He scored the touchdown, got 7 targets, but only 40 or 63 snaps, only ran 22 of 32 routes. So it's kind of like Cole Kmet. Dalton Schultz and Cole Kmet live in the same world for me, where if you got to start him, then you got to start him. But I'm using a bench spot on a higher upside play, even if it's high risk, high reward. So if I have Dalton Schultz on in my lineup as my starter or Cole Kmet, I'm using a bench spot on a Luke Musgrave or we mentioned Greg Dulcich. Good example. Jelani Woods in an IR spot. Like, get creative, try and give yourself a shot at upside, but Dalton Schultz should be fine. He's exactly fine, is what he is. And then running backs, man, scary one this week because Devin Singletary looked better than Dameon Pierce. And he played more snaps, and we know this coaching staff is from the hot hand Shanahan coaching tree. It's the same coaching tree that Mike McDaniel comes off, and he's willing to use the hot hand. We've seen Shanahan before he had Christian McCaffrey. It was the hot hand. And the thing is, it's still hot hand because Christian McCaffrey will always have the hottest hand of all time. So it's not the philosophy changed, the personnel changed, right? So be careful with Dameon Pierce because Devin Singletary looked better, and they go with the hot hand. So he got just as many carries. He ran 18 routes to only 7 for Pierce. So Singletary, honestly, at this point, I still have him on some rosters. I have him some best ball, but I'm going to be kind of trying to sneaky add him, get him onto some benches. I know there's probably some better ads, but I mean, you never know with these coaching staffs that are willing to go with the hot hand. If Singletary's playing like that, then he's going to keep getting the work. So something to think about there. I know it sucks for Dameon Pierce, but we were worried about him from the outset, that he's not a great pass blocker, that this team is not going to be running up the score on teams where you just run the guy a million times. If you swapped David Montgomery and Dameon Pierce was the starting running back for the Detroit Lions, we would love him. But he's not. He's the starting running back for the Houston Texans. So, not super exciting, right? We want the guy that's running more routes on this type of offense. And I know they're not terrible anymore because CJ Stroud is great, but they're also not amazing. Like no one is saying that they're now amazing. We're saying they're not terrible. That's what we're saying. So I don't know. And this team, they use a fullback a ton. Andrew Beck played 28 snaps. So again, another reason why Noah Brown, those guys, they just are never going to play a full snap share. Next team, Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson, possibly out for the season. I'm not dropping him until it's confirmed that he's having surgery because, especially in Superflex, but even in my 14-man leagues, like I'm just going to wait until they confirm for sure that he's out. And chat, let me know. You guys are usually on top of stuff. If it's been 100% confirmed, I'll drop him. Until then, I'm going to put him in an IR spot. So, because he's just, the upside's too good for a guy like that. Michael Pittman, as always, he's our favorite player for this particular show where we go through usage because he's the usage king, right? They played 78 snaps this week. Guess how many Michael Pittman played? 78 every time, man. Over 99% on the season. Michael Pittman is the snap king. So and of course, 14 targets comes with that. So what's up, dude? Michael Pittman, that's our guy. I thought Josh Downs, first look, I was like, oh, nice. Josh Downs finally surpassed Alec Pierce, ran more routes than him, played more snaps. No, Alec Pierce hurt his shoulder. But still, Josh Downs has looked better than them the whole time. Alec Pierce did make the 180 catch, which was pretty sick. But Josh Downs is the guy we want over Pierce. He's just a better player, more exciting player. So, yeah. And Rex, I see you in the chat with the question, would I trade for him in Keeper League? What player were you talking about there? Sorry about that. If it's Nico Collins, then yes. If it's Michael Pittman, then yes. But let me know what players. Josh Downs, yes. In Keeper Leagues, I'm trading for guys like that are on the way up, that play big snap shares. So those are the guys I'm definitely looking for. But let me know what player it was you're talking about because I missed that question in the chat. Sorry about that. Kylan Granson at tight end, man. 45 snaps out of 78 is not cutting it. They rotate too much. He only ran 34 routes. Michael Pittman ran 60. So you're waiting for Jelani Woods. And yes, Rex, if it's a keeper league and you can keep him at value that the other person drafted him at or for waiver value, then yeah, absolutely trade for Richardson. Next year, all the mobile QBs, as always, no matter how bad they are at passing the football, will be in the top 12 for redraft rankings. Justin Fields was terrible passing the football, but because of the mobility, we move him up. So all these guys are going to be up there. Anthony Richardson is absolutely going to be a QB going in the first 10 quarterbacks taken. No question. No question in my mind. So definitely, it depends how many guys you keep, but still, if I can keep Richardson, I'm keeping him for sure. Running back, we saw Jonathan Taylor return, baby. He at least was even. It felt even. I know Taylor played Moss played 39 snaps. Taylor played 33, but it felt more even, didn't it? Taylor got more carries. The targets were the same. So from this point on, it's never going to go backwards. It's only going to go forward. Jonathan Taylor just got paid big money. He's only going to play more. It's never going to go backwards where all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to go back to Moss gets 50 snaps and Taylor gets 10. That's over now. It's probably just going to keep going for Taylor, in my opinion. It could split. It could stay even, but it's probably never going to go back beyond even. So Taylor wheels up moving forward, hopefully. Jacksonville Jaguars, 64 snaps. Trevor Lawrence dealing with a knee issue, which is never good because there's not really a whole lot of knee issues that are just like, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine. Usually it's a little something in there, and that can be problematic. So hopefully they come out and tell us it's a contusion, right? That I can be like, okay, nice, he's got a bruise. But if it's any sort of ligament or sprain or anything, I hate that because sprains are just small tears, man. Small tears. So pretty scary, man. Pate says, do you think Fournette gets signed soon? I don't know, man. I know the thing with Leonard Fournette is that he's historically had some attitude issues. He had the the middle finger to the fans situation and fighting with the Bills player and Tom Coughlin getting all red in the face because he was sitting on the bench when he was actually benched, and you're not supposed to sit on the bench. You're supposed to actually be, up when you're benched. Not to mention he had this weird thing where he kept getting pulled over for tint and never paid the tickets until they actually arrested him, which is just part of that is his agent's fault, but part of it is just being a jerk almost. You know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily going to call him a jerk. Certain guys like that, you have to be supremely talented if you're not going to be a good locker room guy. And I worry that Leonard Fournette at this stage, not that great. So just keep that in mind for Fournette, man. Jags expectations of Lawrence is out Thursday. You know the deal, dude. CJ Beathard time, baby. Let's go. Let's go, dude. He's actually not a bad player. He's not Trevor Lawrence, but I think we'll be all right, dude. The top targets will be all right. Evan Engram will be all right. CJ Beathard, people forget that he was drafted by the 49ers in like the 3rd round. And in the 5th round, they came out and they said, let's take CJ Beathard's roommate from college too, right? In the 5th round. So they took Beathard in the 3rd. In the 5th round, they said, let's take his roommate from college. His roommate was George Kittle. So the 49ers sat there and said, oh, yeah, we'll take this guy. He'll be our quarterback. And then we'll take his buddy, his tight end from college too. Turned out to be one of the best tight ends in the league. So, and then Beathard obviously not even on the team anymore. He's on the Jaguars. But kind of funny how that happens, man. You find Kittle looking at CJ Beathard, right? It's crazy league, man. That's why tight end is so tough to evaluate in Dynasty. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Yeah, CJ Beathard if Lawrence is out. Ridley and Kirk played a ton. And historically, in these situations where Zay Jones is out, they use Tim Jones. This time they were like, you know what? Enough Tim Jones. We're just going to use 2 tight end sets. So Evan Engram played 48 snaps. Brenton Strange played 34. Luke Farrell played 29. Now, Strange and Farrell, they only ran 10 and 8 routes, so you can't really trust them. Strange caught the touchdown, whatever, you know what I mean? That's a one-off. Don't trust him, but that type of usage just hurts the wide receiver 3. Jamal Agnew, he ran 15 routes of 35. So there really is. It's good. It's good news for Ridley and Kirk because it consolidates the targets and Engram. So as long as Zay Jones is out, hopefully they just keep doing this because it's great. Use more of these guys that don't soak up targets. I love that. Travis Etienne, 51 snaps, only 17 for Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby, not as big of a problem as people thought, huh? So yeah, let's go, dude. Let's go. Wheels up. Travis Etienne, top 5 running back rest of season. Who says no? Who says no? I think he's right there, man. I think he's right there. Good player. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence gets healthy and stays healthy because that's a big part of why he's good, right? The team is good, so he's good. If CJ Beathard is not good, then we're in trouble. So let's cross our fingers there. Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce, star. Noah Gray, plays a ton of snaps. Not really that good, but he gets a target every single time. He's always a DFS dart throw at his price because he's gotten a target in every game going back 22 games now, including playoff games, and he can score random touchdowns. Anyone can in this team with the shovel passes and all the, the crazy play design. So Noah Gray is still a DFS throw every once in a while. The wide receivers is where it sucks, man. I hate that nobody plays the full game. No one ever plays the full game. 40 snaps for MVS out of 71. Come on, dude. Only MVS and Sky Moore played more than 50% of the snaps. Rashee Rice did play 34 of 71. He ran 22 routes of 46. Just let the kid play, man. He's the one guy I'm really stashing. Tony is exciting, but he just plays like random packages. And Sky Moore is just so boring. And MVS, man, what is he doing out there? He read the team with 33 routes. He got 0 targets. He's just kind of chilling, man. And Rex, one of my thoughts on Rice and keeper leagues. Yeah, for sure, dude. Absolutely. You definitely want to hold those guys because rookies, you want the ascending guys. MVS is never all going to figure it out, right? He's played with Aaron Rodgers and he's played with Patrick Mahomes. Unbelievable, man. Look at DJ Moore and some of these guys. Look at all the quarterbacks Andre Johnson had to play with. This guy gets to play with Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's was that 7 MVPs right there? Unbelievable. Some of these guys, the luck they have versus other guys, man. And yeah, Rice is killing us with his usage, Rex, but he's a rookie. He's on the way up. Justin Watson on the way down. Kadarius Toney, I don't know what the heck's going on with that guy, but Rice is the one I'm most interested in stashing from that crew. Isaiah Pacheco got all the run work, essentially. He split the pass work with Jerick McKinnon. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a backup for Pacheco. So if there were an injury to Pacheco, you'd probably see Helaire start and McKinnon on pass downs. But right now, Pacheco, got to get him in lineups. Raiders, 70 snaps. Devontae Adams, full-time player. Jacoby Myers, full-time player. We're talking the team had 33 dropbacks. Devontae Adams ran 33 routes. Jacoby Myers ran 32. Devontae Adams got absolutely popped on that one interception. That interception, the fact that it counts as an interception for Jimmy G, that's kind of garbage because I mean, it was just a really good hit, right? But it is what it is. You start Javonte Adams every week, and you probably gonna start Jacoby Myers every week now too. Trey Tucker played over Hunter Renfrow. He only played 22 of 70 snaps, so you would never start a guy like that. Renfrow only played 7. So Renfrow probably droppable in all formats, including Dynasty. Kind of sucks, man. I wonder if he's still hurt. Anyone have any info on that? Let me know. Big news from this one, Josh Jacobs. We don't really have to talk about him because he plays like the whole game, 57 to 70 snaps. You start him where you got him, right? But big news from this one, Michael Mayer. Michael Mayer, rookie tight end. There's barriers to entry for rookie tight ends. First, you need to become the best pass catching tight end in the team. A lot of these teams have incumbent tight ends, so it's hard to, as a rookie, come in and be better. We watched even Cole Kmet as a rookie was kind of stuck behind Jimmy Graham for a good portion, right? So first, that's the first hurdle. After that, you need to become a top 2 target on the team. That's how you have upside. Michael Mayer this week, finally, last week he was kind of even where he was slightly ahead. This week, 57 snaps, only 24 for Austin Hooper. Mayer ran 22 routes, only 9 for Hooper. So we're not quite halfway there. We're right now, I'd say we're about 35% of the way there. 35% of the way, as in he's now the starting tight end. He ran only 22 of 33 routes, though. If he was running like 30 of 33, then I'd say we're like 50% of the way there. 50% of the way there says that all we need is Mayer to become one of the top 2 targets on the team, but that would require an injury to Davante Adams or Jacoby Myers. So Michael Mayer is now a guy we're stashing, hoping that things go our way. But here's what you need. You need to be him to become the full-time, every down tight end the way a guy like Sam Laporta is. And then you need one of Davante Adams or Jacoby Myers to get hurt. And then Michael Mayer is wheels up. Or you just need flat out for Michael Mayer to prove to be so good that week in and week out, he's getting more targets than Jacoby Myers, or at least about the same. So Michael Mayer, definitely worth a stash, but this isn't the situation where it's like, oh, pick him up and start him. A lot of people are going to think that way after getting 6 targets, and it's not really quite there. So be careful with that. Next team, Los Angeles Chargers. They're playing tonight, Monday Night Football. Los Angeles Rams, 57 snaps. Crazy high consolidation of snaps for this team this week. And I love it. It's great. It's easy for us. It's great for us. 57 snaps. Cooper Kupp plays 57. Puka Nacua plays 55. Matthew Stafford plays 57. Tutu Atwell plays 50. Tyler Higbee plays 54. Kyren Williams played 47, and he got hurt. Basically, we're on pace to have the same 11 guys play virtually the entire game, right? So, Kupp and Nacua are going to be in your lineups every week. Tutu, it's hard to trust him because he's a third fiddle. I'm also Tyler Higbee. I have no interest in him. It's just now that they have 2 Cooper Kupps, what are we going to do with Tyler Higbee, right? So he's boring, not really interested. Kyren Williams, and again, I know Britt usually plugged in on stuff. Britt Flynn in the chat says Jimmy G's prognosis better than expected. Make sure you guys follow Britt on Twitter at Britt_Flynn. She's plugged in on all our matchup stuff, all our injury stuff. She gets all the answers on that. So, Britt, if you have information on Kyren Williams, I know Ronnie Rivers, his injury, both Kyren Williams and Ronnie Rivers left. The Ronnie Rivers injury seems worse than the Kyren Williams one, but Kyren Williams is in a boot too. So, I mean, we're looking at rookie Zach Evans being like the only dog in town. And I know this team is just willing. If they have one guy, they use one guy. So I could see Zach Evans being a guy that we got to add, man. He might be the priority add over Devin Singletary, over some of these other guys based on the injuries. So Britt says MRIs today, nothing yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you for checking on that, Britt. Miami Dolphins, next team. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, awesome. This team, now they don't have the consolidation that the Rams have, but what they have is even better. The Rams use the same 11 guys every play. The Dolphins use a bunch of guys that just do not get touches whatsoever. And when you use Alec Ingold, the fullback, right, on half the snaps, and he doesn't touch the football, that means that you're taking other players out of the game that might touch the football, and all the targets go to the guys we want. They go to Jalen Waddle, and they go to Tyreek Hill, and they go to the running backs. We love that, man. You look at this team, right? You got Alec Ingold, fullback, Durham Smythe, tight end, Julian Hill, tight end. Julian Hill played 31 snaps. Tanner Connor, right? The whitest name there's ever been. Cedric Wilson, Robbie Chosen, like those guys this week, they combined for 155 snaps. They combined for 155 snaps, and not one of those players touched the ball. Not one of so 67 snaps as a team. Those guys combined for 155. None of them touched the ball. Durham Smythe played 44 snaps and didn't touch the football. Love it. Good. Give me Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and the running backs. That's it. Braxton Berrios got 2 targets. Who cares? So, yeah, great news. Raheem Mostert, megastar. Awesome. Salvin Ahmed, he played a little bit. As long as Jeff Wilson's out and Achan's out, then you can think about him. You can't. Mostert is just not a guy. I did not want them giving, even as a Mostert owner in fantasy football, I don't want him playing every snap because he'll get hurt, man. He's 31 years old. He's gotten hurt like every year. So, yeah, Dolphins offense is the best in a lot of facets. They got the fastest guys, and they are willing to just use 2 guys. It's amazing to me that the 49ers and this team use so much fullback, and teams, they can't stop it. They know they don't even need to cover Alec Ingold, right? You can double cover somebody else, and they can't stop it. It's crazy, man. It's crazy that that offense is just, it's awesome. What are you going to do? The play design on the Raheem Mostert touchdown where Durham Smythe came back and blocked. My God, Durham Smythe in motion comes back for like a kind of a crackback pick for a touchdown. That play design is wild, dude. Mike McDaniel is just a maniac. Minnesota Vikings, 57 total snaps. As expected, Osborne and Addison are your top 2 dogs. Brandon Powell's the third fiddle. Who cares about Brandon Powell? Maybe a DFS start throw, but Jordan Addison is now must start for me. KJ Osborne, also a guy that probably got to start in places, especially with the shootouts and the kind of games this team gets into. TJ Hawkinson was already must start. He got 8 targets. You're always starting him. Alexander Madison, great usage. 45 snaps to only 9 for Cam Akers, man. So, yeah, got to be feeling good about Alexander Madison. 7 targets, 18 carries. Hell yeah. Kayak, what's up, dude? How do I feel about Mike Gesicki? Getting to the Patriots right after this, very next team up. In fact, pretty much that's all we need to know about the Vikings. So, New England Patriots, here we go. 60 total snaps. Mike Gesicki did have his best usage yet. 22 routes run out of 37 is not good in the grand scheme of things, but he ran more routes than Hunter Henry, got 3 targets. He had arguably the worst block I've ever seen you can't even call it a block, on Max Crosby on the safety. Go back and watch the safety, man. Mike Gesicki tries to chip him, and Max Crosby literally just goes like bonk on the back of the head, and Gesicki just falls on his face. Like, it is cartoonish, the attempted block here on what was the play that ended the game. So good job, Mike Gesicki there. But yeah, I mean, you can't utilize him now. He needs to get to a full snap share at some point, but you can't trust any of these players except Kendrick Bourne. Devontae Parker plays a big snap share, and he was even wide open on a pass that he just dropped, man, down the sideline. Like, these guys aren't helping Mac Jones out whatsoever. Tyquan Thornton played 25 snaps out of 60, so can't do anything there. Jalen Rager's on the team. Who cares? So I don't know, man. Southscale wants to know, will Malik Cunningham become a thing in New England? I sure hope so, and I hope he's terrible. As a Patriots fan, I want this team to come in dead last. I want Caleb Williams. I want Drake May. Hell, I'll take J.J. McCarthy. Is J.J. McCarthy, college football folks in the chat, is J.J. McCarthy, is he going to the league next year, or is he still too young? What's the story with that guy? I'll take that guy. I'll take anybody, man. Anybody. So, yeah. Am I working on finding silver linings in this Patriots season, Craig? Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, this is the best. We're actually going to get a good draft pick for the first time in a long time. Do I want a new head coach? Only if Belichick is he's good enough to beat bad quarterbacks, which that's the problem. You look at the last games this team has won. They beat Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson combined game. They beat Zach Wilson. They beat Colt McCoy. So the problem is, with all the backup quarterbacks, this team is capable of winning games because their coach is still good enough to win those games. So he might have to go from that aspect. I would love to see him go to the Chargers and coach that team, right? Brandon Staley, tired of that business. Send Belichick over there. I'll still root for him. Let my Patriots lose in peace, right? And let him go and coach a team that needs a better coach, right? So, yeah. Yes, I see you guys in the chat. J.J. McCarthy sucks ass. I mean, come on. That team is good enough. He hasn't even played He's played. I tweeted this the other day. He's played fewer fourth quarters this year than Mac Jones. Right? Like he's just they're good enough. I don't know if he sucks, but yeah. I mean, obviously we want Drake May or Caleb Williams, but anything, man, just any hope, dude. So yeah, I don't know. Bill Belichick, the GM, is it's weird because what Bill Belichick has always needed, he's always been a fine GM. He's very good at maneuvering the salary cap. He's very good at maneuvering the compensatory picks, especially, but he's just terrible at scouting players. Like you just need they need whoever's scouting players for the Rams and the Steel wide receivers specifically for the Rams and Steelers and Lions, Brad Holmes, like whoever the crew is, we need those guys. We need guys that can find those guys. But yeah, and Zach Devlin, what's up, Dev? How we doing, brother? They need an O line, yeah. I can't believe that Dante Scarnecchia couldn't have taught someone else how to coach O line to be the new O line coach. Like, come on, dude. Scarnecchia, come back and like teach a protege. Like, come on, just come back, dude. Come on, we need you. But anyway, Ramondre Stevenson, he's at least back to getting more work. He got more work than Zeke in all phases. So Mondre, you can start. Zeke is just kind of like a whatever dart throw. I'm going to try and get through this within the next few minutes. New Orleans Saints, 82 total snaps. Olave and MT, Michael Thomas, still the top dogs. 9 targets for MT, 10 for Olave. Basically, their strategy is they throw it to Michael Thomas at the beginning of the game until he's tired. Then they throw it to Olave. Rashid Shaheed, he took a little step forward, played 62 snaps, really the biggest snap share he's had, 62 of 82, though, right? And he only got 5 targets. He is what he is. Field stretcher. He is like the one player, if I were to take my PPR rankings and put him next to my best ball rankings, the discrepancy between where he's ranked would be crazy. In best ball, Rashid Shaheed is like wide receiver 2 territory. But in PPR, he's so hard to trust, you know? He needs to be rostered in all leagues, though. He's just too much fun. Absolute nightmare scenario for me. Taysom Hill played actual tight end this week. So now I actually have to rank, as long as Juwan Johnson's out, I actually have to rank Taysom Hill with my tight ends. Brutal. But, I mean, the guy got 8 targets, right? And he still played a little quarterback. So if that's what they're going to do, we got to rank him now. So usually I just say, okay, we're not going to play this game trying to get rushing touchdowns from, random rushing touchdowns. But hey, if he's going to get targets and he could have a random rushing touchdown, now we got to rank him ahead of a lot of guys. So Juwan Johnson, please come back soon and end this madness and put a stop to this madness. Thank you. Alvin Kamara, 66 snaps. I don't think I need to say anything else about Alvin Kamara. He should be in your lineup every single week, all the time. New York Giants, speaking of that, Saquon Barkley, 59 snaps, coming back from injury. Apparently he is fully ready to rock. So good. Get him in there. We love it. In fact, these Giants team, even though they lost at the end of the game, holding twice on Darren Waller. Should have been a touchdown the first time. Second time, they held him and got away with it. Should have been a touchdown the second time. So, I mean, it's hard not to be happy with the usage for a lot of these players. Darren Waller, 71 snaps, and he got 7 targets, and he got held twice on game-winning touchdown end zone targets. So Darren Waller, you start him every week. We always were. Wide receivers, though, we've been asking for this for a while, and we kind of got it. Darius Slayton still played 67 snaps. That's fine. But the 2 guys we wanted to play more were the next 2 highest players. Jalen Hyatt with 57, Wan'Dale Robinson with 46. Wan'Dale Robinson got 8 targets. I have a ton of Wan'Dale Robinson. Isaiah Hodgins only played 17 snaps. Sterling Shepard only played 1. Paris Campbell didn't play. He's probably on his way out, maybe trade, maybe even release. I don't even know. But yeah, that's what's up, man. And yeah, we did talk about Pitts already and Jonnu, but after this video is done, there's going to be timestamps in there for all the players. So once we finish up here, we're almost done. Then you can just click and go right back to those teams. Should you trade? JK Alex says CD Lamb and Josh Jacobs for Chase and TEJ. Who is TEJ? What am I missing here? Can you let me know who TEJ is? Sorry, these solo shows get my brain all scrambled up. If there's who's TEJ? Let me know who TEJ is. I'll let you know if you do that trade. But I mean, I'm leaning CJ and CD Lamb and Josh Jacobs. That's who I'm keeping, depending who TEJ is. Travis Etienne. Oh, then I would do the trade, actually. Sorry. Travis Etienne. I would go for ETN and Chase. Yep. hmm I mean, that trade is pretty lateral, dude. What's the point? Is it because of bye weeks? Let me know. If it helps you bye week wise, then yeah, do it. But it's pretty lateral trade. But I think I'd rather have ETN and Chase right now. Mhm, for sure. So yeah, New York Giants. Waller good. 3 wide receivers you wanted to play played, and Saquon Barkley played. So there you go. All checks out. New York Jets, 65 snaps total. Garrett Wilson, 57. Alan Lazard, 50. Randall Cobb, only 36. So yeah. And JK, you know what? I there are times where I don't really trust CD either to some degree. They don't want to throw it as much. Like he's still their best pass catcher, but they Mike McCarthy told us they wanted to throw less. So, what are you gonna do? But yeah, so Garrett Wilson's the only guy you can trust. Alan Lazard, useless, dude. If you're only good with a 4-time MVP, then you're not good. So not interested in any pass catcher on this team except Garrett Wilson. That includes Tyler Conklin. CJ Uzoma still plays enough that Conklin ran 30 routes of 40. So can't trust it. Brees Hall, though, awesome news. Got all the carries, or got most of the carries, and he ran 24 routes. Michael Carter ran 8. Dalvin Cook only played 9 snaps. So see ya, smell ya. So good stuff there. Basically, what I'm telling you is the only fantasy relevant assets on this team. There's 3. There's Garrett Wilson, there's Brees Hall, and then there's the Jets defense. Those are the assets you want from this team. Eagles, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith played the whole game, 10 targets apiece. Got to start him. Dallas Goedert got 8 targets, which is solid, but I warned everybody the Jets defense isn't as bad as people think versus the tight end, man. They're really not. Like, so many touchdowns to back up random goons has messed the numbers up. It's messed up the count, dude. So you look at Farrell Brown touchdown, Luke Schoonmaker touchdown, Noah Gray touchdown. Against the primary tight ends, this team is actually not that bad. Noah Gray scored more points than Travis Kelce did. Travis Kelce only had 60 yards. Farrell Brown well outscored Hunter Henry, right? Like, Jake Ferguson also scored a touchdown, but he only had 11 yards. Like, this team versus the primary tight end is pretty good, and they held Goddard under 50, and you can't really just go off that. I like Noah Gray, so there's no Noah Gray slander. I already said that he was a DFS dart throw. But what I mean by that is that the personnel, you have to think about who the personnel is going to cover. So you have your guys that are good at covering the tight end. They're going to cover Travis Kelce. Noah Gray is being covered by a separate set of guys. So the guys that cover Kelce, the guy that cover Hunter Henry, the guy that cover, the guys that cover Jake Ferguson, they're covering Dallas Goedert, right? And Jack Stoll is not doing anything anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's the way we have to look at it. You have to look at who is the actual personnel covering the player. There you go. DeAndre Swift, he's the starter. He gets all the carries. Kenneth Gainwell, though, did mix in obvious passing situations. So it kind of looks like it did last year, where Miles Sanders was the starter and, the preferred guy for first down and goal line and all that. But Kenneth Gainwell, if it was an obvious pass play, they put him out there. So that's what you saw here. But Swift you still got to start Swift every week. That's just where that's going to be. Steelers are on bye. San Francisco, 62 snaps. Debo left with a shoulder issue. Ray McCloud was the one that stepped up. So Juwan Jennings has been the 3rd wide receiver all year. When Debo's out, Ray is going to be that gadget guy. Ray McCloud, one of the best names in the league. Not quite Colt McCoy, but Ray McCloud is just a fantastic name. So Ray, 44 snaps. Could be a dart throw if Debo misses time. Let me know if we have a MRI probably coming today on Debo with the shoulder. So we'll see. Kittle, ran 31 of 32 routes. So Kittle is what he is. We've been saying it all year. I don't want to say it again. It's just like, with Debo out, now he's back on the menu. The same thing with Dallas Goedert. If a wide receiver gets hurt, now he's got high-end upside. But beyond that, he's very boom bust, very scary. Christian McCaffrey probably overused into an injury. They said that they didn't want to do it. They did it anyway. Now here we are. So let's see what happens with McCaffrey. It's going to be Jordan Mason versus Elijah Mitchell. Shout out to our boy Laquan. LQ was on Jordan Mason. I blame him for this whole situation, but hey, you know what? This is a hot hand coach. Jordan Mason's kind of had the hotter hand, so maybe Jordan Mason is the guy, dude, over Elijah Mitchell. We'll have to see. Yet to be seen, but keep an eye on that. Seattle Seahawks, good week for Jackson Smith and Jigba. He really only got 5 targets. They decided to just use 3 wide receivers a ton. So Metcalf, 57 snaps, Lockett, 56, JSN, 52. And all 3 ran exactly 39 routes, man. All 3 ran exactly 39 routes. And yeah, Chandler, throw your team in there. Do my best to take a look at that. What's the trade? In my league, can only hold 2 QBs, 12 team. Who's down with Stroud, who's on bye. Got to make a trade for QB this week coming up. And would you trade Stroud for Ford and Terry for Burrow and Lockett? Yeah, I think I would, dude. I like Tyler Lockett. I'm not worried about it. Go for it. Jake Bobo, fun player, but no, I'm not worried about Jake Bobo. He only ran 15 routes. Everybody else ran 39. Tight ends, dude. Again, I've been telling you guys, people are like, oh, what about Noah Fant? What about Noah Fant? These guys, they split evenly down the middle. 32 snaps for Colby Parkinson, 32 for Will Disley, 31 for Noah Fant. What are we going to do with that? What do we do with that? There's nothing you can do with that. There's no fantasy relevant player there. It's just, if you could combine them into one tight end, then maybe. They combine for 6 targets. So kind of not really. With DK and Lockett there's no tight end. And even if, think of it this way, even if Lockett gets hurt, now JSN just becomes the second wide receiver, and you still have 3 tight ends splitting. Noah Fant is like 7 injuries away from being relevant. That's why I don't even rank those guys on my list. Go and look at my list from this week. There's 30 tight ends listed, and there's not one tight end that plays for the Seahawks on there because I can find tight ends to start for sure. So yeah, Kenneth Walker, 56 snaps. Zach Charbonnet, 17. And folks in the chat, just as a reminder, this show is really just like hardcore, going through the numbers, getting reset for this week. Like you watch the show, I do this for myself, and if you watch the show, now you're done with your homework. You're done with the hard part, and then tomorrow on Alarm Fantasy Football at 2:00 and on Lightning Round tomorrow, that's when we have fun. Like we're going to be joking around. It'll be me, Kev Tompkins, Britt Flynn first show, then Howard Bender next show with me, and we'll just be messing around. And that's when we do all our waiver questions. Wednesday, we do all the trade questions. Thursday, we do all the lineup questions. Friday, we go through and we look at all the matchups. We make an FFPC team. We have a guest on for that one. So this show is, if you have questions about waivers and all that, definitely pop in over the next couple of days. But this show is just a reset and just, hey, get our homework done, and then we can have fun. So, and honestly, I'm kind of a nerd, so this is fun for me. But, and I know you guys in the chat hanging out that care about this stuff, that take this seriously. This is the most important show for that. And then we go in and we build the waivers, and then we see who we got on waivers, and we make the trades. And when the trades are done and the dust settles, then we set the lineups. Like we do it in order. And there's so many injuries that you can't even set lineups right now. Like you couldn't even talk about it. We haven't even finished this week. Yeah, nerd alert. Exactly, dude. But whatever, dude. Being a nerd, winning a bunch of money in fantasy football, doing what I love every day, I'll be a nerd. That's fine with me. So, yeah, that's the Seahawks. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, full workload every day, every time. 10 targets for Evans, 7 for Godwin. Baker Mayfield could not have missed more wide open passes this week. He's better than that. I think he's better than that. He knows he's better than that. He will make mistakes, but I think he's going to have better weeks than this. So kind of hurts that we missed out on some obvious touchdowns. The third man here, if you're wondering what happens when Chris Godwin or Mike Evans gets hurt, it's going to be one of 2 guys. It's going to be Trey Palmer is the wide receiver that should get the work. And then Cade Otton is on the table as a guy who, hey, maybe if they didn't have Godwin or Evans, maybe he gets more targets. He plays the entire game. He played 54 of 56 snaps. He played more snaps than Chris Godwin, played more than Mike Evans. He does block on a lot of pass plays, but he ran 37 routes, which was more than Mike Evans, same amount of Chris Godwin. So that's what's up, dude. Like, he needs an injury. There's not, like, I talk about how Dallas Goedert's a handcuff plus because he has value, and if a wide receiver gets hurt, now he's on the menu. Cade Otton's a handcuff. He doesn't have much value. He might not, even if a wide receiver gets hurt. But if that happens, now we start thinking about it, dude. Yeah, 11% target share, that's not terrible. That's not terrible. I see you there, Chad. That's, you know what I mean? It's not the end of the world. Some of the guys we really like, or, that people love, like Jake Ferguson or whatever, they're like 14% or 16%. It's like not that far away. So just keep that in mind. Rachaad White, 44 snaps of 56. At least he's playing all the time. That's all you can ask for in this world. So Rachaad White's still a guy you got to start from time to time. 2 teams left here. Tennessee Titans, 55 snaps. Tannehill, concussion. We'll see what happens, man. They obviously went to Malik Willis before they're going to go to Will Levis. So Will Levis still way on the back burner, but we'd love to see him. Like, I'd love to see what he's got because he's probably better for the wide receivers than Malik Willis. Malik Willis is better for standalone fantasy value because he runs around, scrambles around. But for the wide receivers, I want to see more of a pocket passer. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. Hopkins, at least he's back to work. I think the ankle's behind him. He ran 28 of 29 routes. So he's out there, man. And Nick Westbrook-Akine, only 20 of 29 routes. The only other guy you can even be interested in is Treylon Burks. Stash him if you got him. Kyle Phillips didn't play a whole lot, and he also muffed that punt right before halftime, which was just a killer. Free points, giving away free points to the other team. Chig, 40 snaps of 55, only ran 22 of 29 routes, got 4 targets. They're just not using him the way we want to, man. You just got to have bigger. He's got to have a bigger workload and a better quarterback. That's what you need. So there you go. And of course, as we fear with this situation, Derrick Henry, 13 carries to 4 for Tajay Spears, but they're willing to use Spears on pass downs. Spears ran 16 routes to only 9 for Henry, and Spears played 31 snaps to 29 for Henry. But we already knew that. Derrick Henry is the king of carries, and now Tajay Spears is the prince of pass downs. That's the way you got to look at it. Lean into game script. When Derrick Henry goes to play the Texans, and he always does well against them, then it's Henry week. Use him in DFS. Otherwise, though, if it's even close to a good matchup, I'm not using either in DFS. So that's where we're at. Washington Commanders, this is the one a lot of people are asking about. I don't know what the heck is going on with the tight end situation, but Logan Thomas typically plays the full game. He typically runs a lot of routes. He only ran 19 routes this week, 19 of 28. But John Bates only ran 3 and Cole Turner only ran 3. So it's not like they were using someone else. He just kind of, I got to find out, maybe he got nicked up. Maybe, they had a specific game plan in mind. He blocked on 4 pass plays, which he doesn't usually ever do. So maybe it was just they needed help inside, but that's very rare for him. Logan Thomas, like, I'm not going to let one down week change the narrative on how we look at this player. He still runs a lot of routes. They love throwing it to him, and they didn't really throw it to anybody else. I mean, Dotson also only had 1 target. It was just Terry McLaurin got 12 targets. I mean, sometimes that happens. So Terry McLaurin, 12 targets. John Dotson is kind of useless, man. Can probably drop him. Curtis Samuel is the one that's interesting because he is the 3rd man in, but he gets a carry every week, and he's scored 3 weeks in a row. So Curtis Samuel, we told people to start him. I'm still interested in Curtis Samuel. The carries is kind of what moves the needle for me. If you're going to get carries in 4 out of 6 weeks, it's like that. That's what separates the wide receiver 2s from the wide receiver 3s. 2020, Curtis Samuel, if you take away the carries he had and the rushing touchdowns he had, he was wide receiver 3. But because of the carries, he was wide receiver 2. Same with Chase Claypool that year. You take away Claypool's rushing, he was wide receiver 3. That can be the difference in that level. So Curtis Samuel, we like. Brian Robinson, once again, got the rush work, but Antonio Gibson plays 2-minute drills specifically. So be careful with that. We already know what the split is there. It's not ideal, but you know what's going on. That's it. That's all the games, man. That's all the usage. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for liking and supporting and, hitting the follow button on Twitter at Coop Fiasco. Couldn't do this without you guys, man. And my entire goal, as always, is for you guys to win your leagues. That's it, man. Like, I sometimes on Tuesdays when I'm doing the rankings and doing all this stuff, sometimes I don't even have time to set my own waivers and do all that stuff. But I'll tell you what, I will always have the yin and yang tight end article done. I'll always have the rankings done. I'll always do these shows to help you guys win because that's what matters most to me, right? That's what matters most to me. And if I can win some of my leagues too, which I will because I'm also amazing at this, then that's great too. But you guys are always going to come first for me. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you guys for hanging out. And guess what? We'll be back tomorrow with quick outs. The quick outs Wednesday. Tomorrow, lightning round at 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock, Alarm Fantasy Football with Howard Bender. Wednesday, we're doing quick out and then Alarm Fantasy Football. Thursday, Alarm Fantasy Football. Friday, we're having a guest on and we're going to smash this week. And I'll tell you what, we've never made it through an entire and we've never met one time made it through an entire slate. And the guest this week is Jake Trowbridge. So there's no chance we're going to make it through. No chance. Just too much nonsense. We're going to try, but it's not happening. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you guys for hanging out. Earn Dog, thank you for hanging out for an extra 15 minutes. Appreciate you behind the glass. Let's win some leagues, baby. I'll talk to you guys.